Day one of orientation. I got adventures to tell you from yesterday on the way here. I'll give an update when I get back. I'm not going to update much, and I'll give an update of last week's ride trips, probably in this video as well, because, well, basically I didn't go anywhere, but I will give some video in a minute. Don't go anywhere. Alright, class is done for the day. This isn't going to be that good quality that I usually like to have it, but this is going to be the video of my truck. I'll give more details on the class after I get to the hotel and finish breaking this video down. I'm not going to detail too much, but you know, I don't want to make it too long. Anyway, so 2020 Freightliner Cascadia, Detroit engine, yada yada yada. Not a bad looking truck. So let's do this. Alright, there she blows. Let me get a good shot from the back. Everything looks good. It's got the center caps are kept off nice, and the other issue with these is these always are either loose or they're missing the gaskets, and they're all good. I checked all that. Nice clean rig. Everything's still wrapped in plastic. I already did. This is basically the same as the tour I did of the 2019. This is what they look like when you get them off the lot, because you still got the curtains tied up and everything. It's nice and hot in here, even though the air's running. Oh, because he put it on halfway when he turned it on for me. Anyway, this thing will run a few more hours. They usually run for 10 hours. So, even this one's folded in. This is only half a curtain. So usually they're a little bit longer than that. But hey, it's all good. My refrigerator wasn't working when I came in, but once the battery had been charged enough, it actually kicked on. Mattress is rolled up. I'll end up throwing my stuff on the bunk. And it has the, I have to find out what these are. I don't remember what those are. I didn't use them in the other cab. I just threw them out. Not much to see here because there's nothing here. But everything else is standard, just like the first video I made. And she still got that new plastic smell. Oh wait, you know what? I didn't check the mileage. It said it had 71 miles on it. So, it's got like a hair over a quarter tank of gas. 72 miles. There you go. Alright, y'all. So, in the hotel, as you can see, shout out to, you know, I'm not really good with names until I know you for a little while, but one of my subscribers is here getting training for his first week, going on to become one of our drivers. Congratulations and good luck, because, you know, trucking, man, it's quite an interesting profession. So day one here at the training for the IC, basically paperwork. If you're coming on as a independent contractor that owns your own truck, then most of this won't apply.
you come in, like if you got your own truck, you come in, you bring it in, drop it off at the shop the day before, so they can fix it. You got to make sure, pay attention to your emails. They'll describe to you what type of fifth wheel you need to have. They want a particular one. The length of the truck, all the specs that you need to know for the vehicles are in the emails, and whatever correspondence, be it phone calls and so on. I don't know anything about that side because I don't have my own truck, so I'm coming in with basically nothing. Now, as far as coming in as a lease purchase owner operator, 0 down payment on a brand new truck with a small incentive for bringing in a brand new truck through SFI. Look, when you go to the class, don't be stupid. Pay attention. Don't fall asleep in class. You will get booted. We got a guy in there right now that's starting to fall asleep. I'm hoping he makes it. He seems like a nice guy, but I don't know what his problem is, how he didn't get enough sleep last night, but good luck to you, buddy, if you ever watch this and make it through, or try to make it through. So I got in late last night. I drove the rental up. Let me do a recap on last week real quick. So last week, the last 2 days of driving, or 3 days, whatever you want to call it. Sunday I didn't go anywhere, right? I was stuck at Wheel Wrecker, one of our drop lots that's just a wrecker service that has a lot of junk cars, junkyard, and so on. You don't want to be stuck there. Birmingham, Alabama. Nothing there, nothing around, really no way to get out. Security has the place locked up, and once you're there, unless you're an IC, it's not really, you don't want to drop your trailer and take off and then come back, especially when you only have 4 hours left on your clock. I ended up getting screwed on that. Monday, I called my DBL to try and work something out to get back to Atlanta, because I knew this was coming on the 8th, so Monday was the 1st, right? Monday, I called my DBL and I said, hey man, I was hoping maybe you could get me back to the Atlanta OC so I can just turn my stuff in and turn my truck in and turn my tablet in and so on, that anything that needed to be done. So I drove several hundred miles. I still only had 4 hours. My reset wasn't going to be till like 10 o'clock Monday night. And I told him, I was like, dude, if we wait until then, it's kind of pointless. So he got that load off of me and took me and sent me on another load. I was able to grab it and book it to a truck stop. I had 4 hours, so it took me about 2.5 hours to do all that. And then I was going to relay the load in Atlanta. So the next morning, got up, took off, made it to Atlanta. They've changed the relay load area. They don't do it at the OC right now, or they haven't been for me the last 3 times. Said they got another lot over there near Atlanta for used vehicles, trailers, and tractors, power units, whatnot. So they're going to be getting more space in the Atlanta OC for us to park, which is a good thing, because on the weekends, especially on holidays, you're not getting a parking space. You'd be lucky if you get there late and can find some place. And then when you get there late, you got to invent something. So I got there, took my stuff in, turned my tablet in, and said my adieus, and that was about it, really. But that ended up giving me only 400 miles or 500 miles, maybe, no, 300, I don't even know. So it gave me a few hundred miles, and then I had them run me up to the airport to grab a rental car, which ended up costing me more, because since I made this decision so late and it was already the 2nd of July, it's really bad trying to get a rental car from an airport on a holiday. So I had to go through, they patched me through to not budget, which is their people, which you can usually get like $67 a day or something like that for them, to, well, maybe it was budget that I had to use, because that's what went on my charge card. I don't know. Didn't get to use the regular one, so I had to pay pretty much double. Cost me about $130, but I went back home. So got my stuff, packed the car, went back to the OC, packed the car, cleared all my stuff out the truck, and left to go home. And that was it. I mean, had a good weekend, good week for the holiday. Went and saw some fireworks. Cooked some steak, like 2 fingers thick. Oh my God, in my air fryer, and that was some of the juiciest steak. And yeah, an air fryer is just a convection oven, basically, but you know what? Shut up and get an air fryer. Man, give me a break. I'd rather use that than a convection oven. It's a lot quicker. As far as I'm concerned, you know, you might not think so, but you know what? I'm not worried about it. That steak, though, amazing steak. Didn't even need a lot of seasoning. So then I come up here. So Sunday I went and grabbed another rental car that I booked myself because I had a better rate, and came up here Sunday. It's Monday right now, right? July 8th. That's 7th. So I come up here. It was crazy, man. I came up here and I had to take the car back, right? I got in here to check in, and there's this big girl comes in with her brood of 4 or 5 children, and I don't mean that offensively. I'm sorry. She just had a lot of kids, and she comes in. Well, she was there right before I got there, I guess. They gave her her room key. She goes upstairs with her children, comes back downstairs by herself, no luggage, nothing, and says, yeah, there's somebody in that room. And then a black girl comes down, and some skinny black dude, big black girl, skinny black dude, and she says, what the F is going on? Blah, blah, blah. The funny thing is so they're standing at the counter, and the guy finally comes back. They were busy. It's like 4 or 5 of us in at one time, getting the people behind the counter pulling their hair out because only a couple of them, and all the rooms weren't ready, missing towels, missing sheets. Dude come in with a dog and needing a room, and their room was messed up, didn't have no sheets or towels. Well, anyway, the big girl, she's like, you know, we were in there taking care of business. Somebody trying to get in our room. I'm paid up through tomorrow. What's wrong with you people? And me and about 4 of the people that were standing in line behind her, we're all back there giggling, and she turns around, looks at us, and says, it isn't funny. And her man's like, you don't have to announce it to the whole world. I'm sorry, but it was freaking hilarious, especially the way she was carrying on. I mean, yeah, it's not funny, somebody coming in on your room, but I mean, she didn't have to come down if she was worried about that. And of course, her key was wiped because they tried to, they gave the room to somebody else who had different keys, so they wiped the keys. But yeah, whatever. It was funny. And the poor dog owner, he ended up having to get another room. So, man, come on, give me a break. My wife's trying to call me. I'll call her back in a second. So they ended up getting another room. Anyway, I got checked in. Everything worked out well. And then on the way to take the return the rental car, the minute I got on the highway, it was raining a little bit. Dude behind me merged onto traffic, and he must not have paid attention, because the car that was in my lane that I merged in front of, and he was way behind me, but he was apparently not far enough behind me for the idiot behind me on the entrance ramp to pay attention, or he was on his phone or something. I don't know. But I looked in my rearview mirror, and all I saw was this car back and forth. He real wide, went crazy wide again. And then ended up, the guy that pulled in behind me ended up pulling all the way onto the emergency lane, and the guy that was swerving all over the place ended up facing the opposite direction in traffic. So I can only imagine how that ended up. I'm just glad I was in front of them people and not behind them when all this went down, because that would have been a horrible end to a really long day. It took forever. It took 4 hours to get here on a 3.5-hour trip. Anyway, took the car back, got called Schneider, and you tell them you're with SFI, and they'll get you a car back. So they got me an Uber back here. Anyway, so back to today. So it was all paperwork. Signed my life away. They give you basically the like when you get approved. The week before you come up here, or after you get approved, they give you a sample copy of the lease agreement. They give you copies of the breakdown of the payments as far as how much the truck payment is going to be and how much your maintenance account is going to be. They give you innumerable amounts of email. One of them is a checklist that they basically explains, if you can understand it. It's got a red columns and yellow columns, and the red columns are the places that the things you've actually done with your SFI rep and what is the other lady? Some other lady. The SFI rep and somebody else. The other one is, I don't even remember. Anyway, so one's the SFI rep and one's the other person, and you'll get emails from both of them. The other approval person. Man, I'm sorry guys. It's been a long week leading up to this. It's just, it's such a great feeling to be able to do this. Regardless of the negativity on leasing. And there was a guy in there today saying how he had bought his own truck, and he's like, man, the payments are so high, and so on and so on. And the payments are high. I mean, they're high. Like from my example on the previous video, I think right around the 955 I showed you, it's right around there. I'll give a breakdown on some of the aspects of running this business, like in one of my next videos. Won't be the next one, but it'll be close to that. And when somebody walks up to you, and I've only got 53 subscribers, and when somebody walks up to you and says, hey man, you're an inspiration, dude, it's like I'm here to help, and when you see, even if I just get one person and help them in one way or another. I mean, helping them in this, it's not my ultimate goal. I mean, this isn't helping the Lord doing is my actual goal, but this is just another aspect. So the paperwork, get done with that, and since I'm a company driver, most of the stuff I already know. The guy asked me if I kept my tablet. I said no. He's like, well, they're supposed to let you keep that tablet. On another note, when I tried to get the rental car discount on the way back home, on the way up here, they said they had, because I called them Friday, and they're like, well, we already wiped your stuff, man. So once you leave and drop the truck off, they will wipe you off the face of Schneider Earth. Just so you know, if you decide to go this route, you will not exist. So they took my employee ID number off and everything. I'm hoping I get it back. That way I don't have to try and memorize another number, because they're in 7 digits now. I had a 6-digit number. And I'm good with numbers, but I always got to memorize all these other numbers. Of course, my truck number I memorized pretty much immediately. But yeah. So it was nothing else really today going on. I mean, the other guys, they went over some of the stuff with them. They had to do their physicals. Schneider company drivers do not have to do another physical. Not currently. I mean, that's subject to change as rules change. We all know how that goes. But I didn't have to do any of that. Didn't have to pee in a cup. Didn't have to get my hair tested. But I did have to take a drug test like 5-6 weeks ago, right before I went on vacation, but I thought it kind of odd. You'd think they would do it after you come back from vacation, because that's when most people do their nonsense. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I got to go look at my truck. Y'all saw that. I made sure that the wheel seals, I showed y'all that. I ain't got to talk about that. And there's also caps, like on the front rims. Mine had, like, there's a side cap. On your front tires, there's like a little circular cover on top of your grease hub. And then there's a fill cap over here. It depends on where it rotated itself around when you're driving. But there's a fill cap on the side that looks like it has a flathead slot in it. No matter what truck you get, even if you're a company driver, check that cap and make sure it's not cross-threaded. And those of you who don't know, cross-threading is like when you take this and when that thing gets threaded and it's crooked like this, you see how if it was not threaded incorrectly, it would be sealed, right? Like that. So cross-threading is what that is. And what happened was when this was pointing down towards the bottom of the tire, I better close that. When that's pointing down towards the bottom, your axle grease will leak out and you'll be running dry with no axle grease on bearings. And yeah, they'll stay lubricated for a little while, but you're driving hundreds and thousands of miles a week and your tire will fall off and you might die and you might kill somebody or whatever. So make a note of that. Always check and check your bolts. I mean, that was another thing. So mine apparently was one of the ones that was towed. Truck had 71 miles on it, 72 miles on it. Contract says 71. A mile off, whatever. Of course, it only has a hair over a quarter tank. No surprise there, but everything worked except for the refrigerator. After cycling the battery for a little bit and letting the APU run, the tri-pack run, it actually worked. Nice clean truck though. I like the way it looks. I will post more later. Don't know what I'm going to post about. I'm let you know what the trips kind of are like and stuff. You're never going to get a reveal on customers from me. I mean, if you work for us, you know who our customers are. Sometimes there are other customers that I never saw as a company driver that I know we service. But I will not divulge customers, regardless of whether or not there's a rate involved there. I might let you know. I'll give a base idea of whether or not I'm succeeding. You'll know real quick whether or not I'm succeeding. But I can tell you right now, I'm succeeding, so it doesn't matter. I know I'm going to succeed, and I'm not saying that to be arrogant. I'll succeed because I have God on my side. That's what counts. I wouldn't have made it this far. And y'all can call it what you will. I used to be there. Anyway, y'all keep the left door closed. Keep the hammer down.